So, hello, my name is Klára. Short introduction. I'm from kiwi.com also. I used to study Japanese, then I started to work in our company in customer support 2 years ago, and a year ago I started to work as a front-end tester in our product team. So I'm a tester for a year. We are testing mostly manually. Currently we are also learning how to test with Cypress, which is similar to Selenium, which I guess you know. So, my presentation today will be about tools we use to make manual front-end testing easier. I will talk about 5 tools which are developed by our developers for us. So maybe, I don't know from which companies you come or how you test. It might not be that useful for you, but I think that you will find it more as an inspiration for what you can do for yourselves or what you can ask your developers to do for you. So the first one is Skymock. Basically, yeah? Oh fuck, sorry. Then, I don't know, it doesn't work. Thank you. Technical difficulty. Okay, great. So tools we use to make manual front-end testing easier. The first one is Skymock. Skymock is written in JavaScript, and it is full of mocks from our website, from kiwi.com, with states which are somehow interesting in a way. We have approximately 350 different mocks where front-end behaves in an interesting way. Let's say we have some very specific case which we need to test, like, I don't know, give me a hint.
Universities.
Yeah, like throwaway ticketing. We have on our web something which is called throwaway ticketing. That means that you want to buy a one-way flight, but we offer you return because it's cheaper than one-way for some airlines. And we inform you about it. But for us, testers, it is hard to find such itinerary on our web because we don't know which one is the throwaway ticketing. So we just use these mocks to test how the front end looks like and how it behaves. You just click on it and you will see. I'm not really sure how to better describe it. Okay, we use it also for Cypress tests. As I said, we are currently learning, devs are teaching us how to write tests in Cypress. It's similar to Selenium. And we run these tests on mocks, not on production. And it is written in kind of meta language. For the easiest definition of states. So what you can see here, that is definition of default trip. There is a mock, which is not really special, but it's the default one, where you will see return trip by, in this case, I guess it's Red Wings, but whatever. This is how default trip looks like when it's written in Skymock. This is how the interface looks like. So you can see there the base. I can either put there production or master branch, or I can also use staging links. And I can also change API there. There are some tags for the most used cases, so it's easier to find the mocks you need. For example, some additional services, schedule changes or voluntary cancellation, etc. Those mocks are for all of our main modules, which means search, booking page, and manage my booking. Okay, so that was Skymock. I don't know if you have any questions. Do you want to ask now or later? You have a question now, okay?
I have a question. You said you're using something similar to Selenium.
Uh-huh.
Is there any specific reason why you are not using Selenium?
Well, I'm sure there are some reasons. I would say that one of them is that there is better dashboard with snapshots. When you run the tests, you get the snapshots after. And also the code, which is pretty long in Selenium, can be much shorter in Cypress. But we are still looking for our correct direction. So currently we are hiring actually QA tester who would be more technical, and what we want from him is to know either Cypress or Selenium, because like both are good. There are pros and cons for both. I'm not really sure about the pros and cons because, as I said, I just started learning it. Today we merged the first test we wrote together with another tester. I'm very happy for it. Yeah, but that's all I can say to that. Any other question? Skymock? Okay, so the next tool which our developers made for us and also for translators is called Stranger Strings. It is because we have 30 independent translators, and they send us translations to many sources, and we have 66 language versions. Of course, there are like many Englishes, let's say American, Australian, British English, so it's not 66 very different languages, but still we have 66 language mutations, and it's hard to be consistent in our translations. So what Stranger Strings do is that they look for anomalies in strings. I will show you an example in a minute. And what they will do in future is that they will check grammar. Probably we will start with Grammarly for English and then go on from that. Then it should also check that in the strings there are no dynamic values. Let's say that you can submit passport details until 72 hours before departure, so the number 72 shouldn't be in the translation key. That's what it's checking. And one thing I didn't mention, it has also some checker of basic phrases, like let's be consistent with passenger or customer, baggage or luggage, passport or travel document. So that's what it's also checking. And it will have machine translations for testing, because sometimes when we are testing something on front end, we have just translations in English, but we also need to check it in right to left languages like Arabic, or some languages which are not using Latin characters like Chinese or Japanese. And because it can look completely different on front end, the text can overflow and so on. We don't have to wait for translators anymore to give us all the translations before testing. We just put there like Google Translate translations for testing, test it, and then later when the translations are done, they are just put there too. So basically this is how it looks like. There are some translation keys, and here you can see the red things which are saying that something is different. For example, here we can see that the last character of some string is different than the end of the rest of the translations. Here it's for French, it doesn't have dot. Like you can see that the rest has dot at the end, but French doesn't. So it can check inconsistencies like this. There's a little bit negative. This needs to be checked manually because some languages are not using dots. For example, I'm not sure. Maybe Thai language is not using dots. Some language like that. So we always need to check manually and see if like it's really a mistake or if the inconsistency is actually a good one. And then you can see there also more details. For example, how many translations we have, 34 out of 65. So sorry, I was lying, it's not 66, but 65. And you can also see the usages, like in which part of the code it's used. The next tool is Logmo, or sorry, should I give you space for questions? Are there some? No, so maybe later. Okay, the next tool is Logmo. It is making logs easier to read, even for our customer support. Basically, when customer goes out to our website and clicks on whatever, we log that. Everybody does. But we have this tool which logs it kinda in a better way. It's really, you can read it very easily, what happened. Let's say there is some complaint that we booked incorrect flight, incorrect name, date of birth, or that the passenger booked luggage but we didn't book it. Then we can check it there, what really happened. Maybe the passenger is not always right. I will also show you how it actually looks like. And there is a note about GDPR, which is like very in now. Everybody has to do that sooner or later. We will not store customers' data, personal data, anymore after 30 days if they don't give us consent to do so. So, for example, customer goes to booking page, fills in his name and everything, but then doesn't click on I agree with terms and condition and doesn't finish the booking. So it is visible there for 30 days, but after those 30 days it's anonymized. So we still see the data about conversion, but we don't see the personal data about name, date of birth, etc. This is how it looks like. I made a really short video. I made a test booking. Here you can see what I filled in, birth date, name. Then there is an event. You can click on it and you will see which flights passenger actually booked. There is all the information about it. And then later, if everything goes well, you can see that thank you page was rendered. So in this case, everything went well. If the passenger would be saying that we booked it with incorrect name, we can say you filled in this name and we booked it with that. So it's good for when we get some complaints to customer support. It happens not that often, but it happens, you know. Okay, so the next tool is debug window, which is actually on our website, but I'm not gonna tell you how you can turn it on, of course. And I will show you just this one screenshot because, you know, I cannot show you more, but I can tell you. There are some tools. I can show myself some hidden features. So, for example, I will see in search IDs of the flights. Sometimes I need it to see from where do we get the content. I can show the translation keys. So if I would find some bad translation or something, I can just report the name of the translation key and what's wrong with that. Smart fill options, that is very useful. I just put their shortcut, and it will fill in everything for me for sandbox booking on booking page. So it really saves time. Then there are some A/B versions which we can change. The same is Splitster, but it's actually a bit better than A/B tests because you can do A, B, C, D tests. And A/B versions, we have like 18 parts which we can divide. If we have 50-50 A/B test, it's 8 and 8 parts. But Splitster we can use for like real persons, so it can be 99% and 1%. There is more information about the visitor, and then change API. That is really useful. We don't have to change API from backend in URL, but we just put the Rancher API in the columns for specific modules. I'm sorry I can't show you, but you can imagine, I guess. The last tool I'm going to talk about are our dashboards. So I will mention a bit our process, how we test, so you understand why it's necessary for us. Basically, developer makes some merge request in GitLab and creates a staging. We test on that staging one person. Currently it's 2 people because we just hired newbies, so we tested 2 of us, so we are sure it's all okay. After it's tested and approved on this staging, it's merged to master, and then again we test it on master, 2 of us, and then it's finally released after general check. So our developers made for us very handy dashboards. First of them is priority board. So every morning I come to work and I open this board, so I see what is the top priority for the day. Our top priority is always integration merge requests, those on masters which are almost ready to release, because it's almost ready to release. So we test that, and when there are no more integration merge requests, we test those pending ones. Also, as I said, we have some modules, booking, manage my booking search, and we have dedicated testers for each module. So here I can select the module and it will give me just the ones I want. And the second dashboard is the integration one, which is similar basically to priority, but there are also lines for where the pre-production ends, etc. Okay, so that's it. Thank you very much for your attention, and I hope you have some questions. Yeah?
I have 2 questions.
Sure.
First one is about logmode.
Logmode.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is it, let's say, learnable, or is it useful only on Kiwi platform?
Well, it is a tool which is developed in Kiwi, so I'm not sure what you're asking about. What do you mean by learnable?
Customize it.
Customize it. Well, it's not outsourced or open sourced. It's not open sourced. It's just ours. So you can do something similar for yourself. You cannot customize it because we cannot give it to you. But as I said, I want this for you as an inspiration, what you can do in your company. I think it was really easy to read because all the events are written very in a very comprehensive way. So when even person from customer support who is on calls comes to that tool and wants to read what happened, for example, all errors are there highlighted in red, so they would see right away what happened. And the second question?
About priority dashboard.
Mm-hmm.
You said you came to work and open this private dashboard.
Mm-hmm.
Is there someone who's watching this dashboard and moving?
Oh yeah, that's a very good question actually. It is prioritized by the green labels, which are taken from GitLab. Those are labels which we have in the merge request. Integration merge requests are always the first, and the highest one is the one which was merged first, merge after merge. And these pending merge requests, you can see here that it has prio label. I guess you can't see that, but it says prio week. There is also another label which is prio ASAP. If some merge request would have that label, it would go above it. Then if there are labels process to review and process approved, which means if it had code review or not. If the merge request didn't get code review yet, it's not as much of priority as if it had code review. And then also the ones which were open the most in the past are prioritized. Yep, is it understandable?
Yeah.
Okay. Another question? I'm really happy to answer it. No. Okay. So thank you very much for your attention. And the next speaker is Honza. Great.